discuss issues about this thing called life. Today's issue, Buhay Stepmom. Our guest today has a biological daughter, Elise, and is a stepmom to 2 boys. Please welcome to the show, Miss Peggy Lasa. Hi, Peggy!
Hello!
Peggy, ikwento mo muna sa amin about family life. Kailan ba kayo, ilang years na kayo married ni Charlie?
We've been married for 19 years already.
Yes, okay.
Year 2000.
So tell us about your family, yung anak niya.
So when I met Charlie's sons, the eldest was 14 and his youngest was 6 years old. And my daughter was right in the middle. She was 10 years old. So okay. Now they're all finished school, working, and like a real family.
Okay, so Peggy, yung backgrounder natin, saan kayo nagkakilala ni Charlie? Were you actively?
No, I wasn't sure to get married again because the experience of becoming a widow was quite difficult, and I was happy being a widow with a daughter. I was living with my parents. People would offer, I was widowed when I was 34 years old. So people would ask me if I was going to get married again, but there didn't seem to be anybody that would pass my standards. It's very difficult to have a second marriage if you have a child, because you want to have a good father for your child. You can't just choose based on, I like that guy. You have to choose someone who is a good fit for your daughter.
So saan mo nakilala? Who introduced you to?
We had a common friend who was a matchmaker. Gusto niya kaming in-match. Gusto niya kaming pag-blind date. Pero I didn't want to go on a blind date. So he kept trying to convince me, oh, this is a long story. You can just cut it if you don't like it. He told me that he had a friend who was perfect for me. And to make it hard for him, I said, oh no, I want someone who is rich. And he said, oh, he's rich. He's a plastic surgeon. And I said, no, actually, I don't want someone who's rich. Kasi alam ko naman na ayoko naman yung mayaman talaga. So he said, hindi masyado. And then I said, no, kasi I want someone handsome. But this is all just to make it hard for him.
Parang binibiro mo lang, puro mga biro lang yung salita mo. Kasi imagine, coming from a mature woman, di ba, na gusto ko mayaman, gwapo.
Ayaw ko kasi lumabas. So sabi ko, gusto ko gwapo. Sabi niya, gwapo to. Actually, ayaw ko ng gwapo. Sabi niya, hindi masyado. Then I said,
ano yung next qualification?
Kasi ang gusto ko matalino. Magna cum laude ito. Siyempre, hindi ko naman ayaw ko ng matalino kasi gusto ko naman ng matalino, di ba? So sabi ko, basta ayoko.
Alright, so how were you finally convinced to meet with Charlie?
I was going to have an elementary school reunion, and that batchmate of mine invited him to that elementary school reunion, which was going to be held in a common friend's house also. Another friend.
All right.
So, syempre, elementary school, di ko naman kakilala yung mga mukha ng tao. Then finally,
hindi mo na naalala.
Sabi niya, ayan yung oh no, yan yung gusto niya i-blind date sa akin.
What was your first impression of him?
Well, actually, my first impression was like, oh no, hindi man ako nagbihis.
That means nagwapuhan ka talaga. All right. So fast forward tayo. So nag-date kayo and finally, nung
No,
dating stage,
date.
you did that date?
Telebabad muna kami.
You telebabad 20 years ago. Okay, telebabad. And then, when did he pop the
Because
question?
the thing is, I didn't want to get into a relationship. And I felt that he himself should spend more time being a widow so that, it's not like you're looking for a replacement for your
Yeah, the
spouse.
departed spouse, right?
Wanna come to in the relationship healed already. So ang feeling ko, talipapad na lang. I'll try to just get to know him through the phone. I didn't want to upset my daughter. And I was living with my mom, who actually
Medyo
required,
pinagbabatay sa'yo.
yes.
All right.
She
So what did
required
he say?
her own. So telepapad kami.
All right. And then?
And after a while, ang naging chaperone namin, yung anak niya.
Chaperone?
6 years old.
Okay. Oh, so when you finally went out, he was chaperone. He brought his 6-year-old son with him.
Not the first time, because the first time we just had a lunch. It wasn't a date where you pick the girl up. No, it's like we meet in a cafe and we have lunch.
So yung mga first meetings nyo, kasama niya yung anak niya. Did you bring your daughter with you?
I guess there were times when I would bring her, but not usually, because my daughter was the one who was kind of afraid of me getting into a relationship.
All right. So, what were your feelings when you have lunch out, kasama yung anak niya? Did you have to try hard to make a very positive impression on their son?
Well, when we went out, there was nothing sure about I would be the stepmom. No, nothing.
Hindi pa. Okay. Friendly level lang.
Getting to know each other. And since I love kids and his son was the cutest little boy, there was nothing at all difficult for me. Any little boy, I would love to talk to a little boy. So I didn't have problems with
May
meeting.
kinuwento ba si Charlie or did you ask anong sabi ng anak mo about me? Meron bang ganon?
I don't remember thinking or being like apprehensive.
Yes, right.
I don't remember that, but I remember that he did say that his son did like me.
Is that true for both of his sons? Nakilala mo ba yung dalawa?
Well, his elder son, syempre mas matanda na yon. He asked his father kung pwede niyang i-postpone, having a relationship. But his father had a talk with him, and he said, "You know what? We're already 40s, so I can't wait. And Christopher, he needs a mom." And so his son, ang bait rin ng elder son niya, parang pumayag na lang din siya.
Okay. So, nakilala mo tong elder son, si Carlo, right? Nagkakilala kayo on one of those lunches. So, was he less accepting, hindi, kasi mas matanda nga siya, di ba? And considering that he was the one who asked his father to wait a while?
I didn't feel any negative feelings from his sons. His sons are actually really such good boys. We would have, let's say, my family would go on a vacation to the beach, and all of them would come along, and they would get along well with my nephews, my niece. So it was quite nice. I didn't have a difficult time with my
E-
sons.
Even with your daughter, Elise, okay sila?
Yes.
Okay. So when you finally decided to get married, uh, w- how did you feel? Ano yung mga apprehensions mo? What were the things on your mind, considering that this is a second marriage?
To decide to get married again, it took me a year of prayer and discernment. Like really, really asking God if this is what His plan is. Because I
Okay.
believe that if it is His plan, He provides the grace and He will put the family together.
Okay, you spoke about discernment, prayer and discernment. I-concretize natin yun in your experience. How did you start the discernment process? You are active kasi in community, no? You were with Ligaya ng Panginoon.
Yes.
So how
Well, in Ligaya, we have what we call the people who care for us, like they're called pastoral leaders. So we consult with them and we say, okay, this is, in fact, I was trying to get out of starting a relationship. I wanted my leader to say, okay, he's not from community. He might bring you out of community. Don't entertain him. But he said,
in your heart, parang mas gusto mo yun ang marinig mo.
yes,
Pero ang narinig mo,
be open to what God plans. I think mostly I was afraid because, there's no guarantee when you get married again that you will not become a widow again. There's no guarantee about anything. And to go through that experience again is very hard. And also my life in community was very, I can see where I'm going. I'll be in community for the rest of my life. I live in the Philippines. I have a daughter. I'm quite happy.
you had it all mapped out in your mind.
At the time, he actually was considering living abroad. And that was something else that I had to pray about because to bring my child up abroad was not something that I wanted. At that time, because he spent a few years living in the States. And so, I was afraid that if I got into this relationship, I'd be brought out of my country, brought out of community, away from my family. It's much easier to have the path that's, laid out before you.
But somehow, no, in the discernment process, mukhang iba talaga yung gusto ng Panginoon for you. How did you know or paano yung naging discernment process? What made you be at peace with the decision to get married again? Ano yung narinig mong word or a prayer?
Well, it was a year of praying and consulting with my leaders and telling them, what I was hearing. And this is how I found out that it was really fear that was keeping me from, making this decision to move forward with this relationship. And fear is not from God. Fear is not from God. And I think it was in two retreats 1 year apart, where the Lord showed me that, if wherever He was leading me, as long as I was holding on to Him, I had nothing to fear. And I had a vision of like I was in a mountain and I was like a child holding on to Him. And we were turning around and I couldn't see what was on the other side. But He was saying, you have nothing to fear as long as you are going where I'm leading you. And a year after, the same vision in another retreat where we had turned the corner and there was a field of yellow flowers. And so the yellow flowers, for me, it was like, okay, that must be a good thing because it's, I can already see that it was, hindi na siya yung mountain na parang dangerous, mahuhulog ka.
Right,
Yung
right.
field, syempre safe ka sa field, di ba? And there are flowers in it.
Parang springtime na, parang masaya.
Yes, yes. And so many other ways through his word, through, like a sense when you're listening, when you pray. So many ways that he revealed to me that this is where I want you to go. And for me, sama-sama na yan, di ba? If that's his plan, sama-sama na yung grace to be a stepmom, to raise up these children, to bring them to God and all that stuff. So, para sa akin yan ang pinaka-importante para sa akin.
Right, right. I agree. So what was happening during that time? So nakahintay lang si Charlie sa'yo. Did he even understand when you say, magdi-discern muna ako? What did you tell him? Why were you postponing? Why were you not saying yes?
No, because when I met him and he started calling, I already told him from the start, I would need at least a year to get to know him kasi from scratch hindi ko siya kilala talaga
Right.
To get to know him and to discern. So after a year, he asked me, and by that time, I had gone through, so many prayers, and I readily said yes. By that time, I was certain that, this is where God wanted me to be.
How did your children take that? Siyempre, sasabihin nyo na magpapakasal ako. How did Elise take that?
Well, Elise, at the start, at the very, very start, was so suspicious of Charlie because she had never met him, unlike she had so many titos. I knew so many men, right? Mga niya sa community. And here comes this guy who's calling every day and, sometimes bringing us out for lunch or whatever. And it's like, who is this guy? So she's super against. And she gave him a hard time.
Okay, so that is another story. What about the boys, Carlo and Christopher?
The boys,
how did they take the news na, papakasalan ko na si Tita Peggy, magpapakasal na kami?
Kasi naman, after a year na, pumupunta na kami sa beach with my family, it's like, puro alam na nila. It was just
alam na nila.
Diba? They know na if you've lasted this long, diba? And you're not naman bang na mga boyfriend, girlfriend na years and years. You really are discerning. You really are, well, for us in community, whenever you're in a relationship, you're really discerning. You're really supposed to be, thinking, is this the guy that God is, has planned for me? So by that, I think they already, they took it for granted. Yeah.
All right. So of course, no, di ba, from being unmarried and to when we go to married life, syempre we have expectations. How would you compare your expectations of being a stepmom to being the real one? Kasi before marriage, syempre tita-tita ka nila, no? But now, you will be living together, no? So how was it? Yung expectations versus the reality nung finally you were married and therefore living in one roof, under one roof?
Actually, it was quite challenging for me. The transition from, we're engaged and going out, having fun. And then when you come into your marriage, you have a full house. It's not like you get married the first time and you're still...
Kayo munang dalawa.
Diba? Tapos little by little, dumadami yung pamilya.
Yes.
So
it's a full house agad.
Correct. It's like, oh my gosh, ang dami ng kailangang desisyonan, kailangan pakainin, kailangan i-discipline, kailangan ipin.
So ano yung major challenges, Peggy?
I think maybe the challenge was to still have that relationship with my husband. In community, what we teach is that you always have to have a one-to-one with your husband, like once a week.
Yes, be alone with the spouse.
Yes, you go on a date, you talk.
Right.
And for me, that was so important because, you know, if the house is full and you feel like you're already like a nanay for how many years, di ba? So
And
nawala
you
na
don't have sons eh. You only have one daughter. So medyo
Yeah.
parang, di ba, parang biglang may mga lalaking magugulo dito sa bahay. Di ba
Well,
how boys are?
the elder one was quite ano na siya, malaki na siya. So hindi na siya magulo. It was the little one that required much parenting and discipline. Before we got married, kami ni Charlie, we knew na magkaiba kami ng parenting style. So, we decided the biological parent has the primary say in the discipline of the child. Okay? So, ako ang masusunod kapag si Elise, siya ang masusunod sa mga boys. I have a tendency to be more strict with my daughter, not allowed to do this. At, kasi strict sa akin ang parents ko eh.
Yes.
So,
At uni ka iha.
siya naman, she would like, he would like, you know, his sons, payagan mo na yan, payagan mo pa yan. So, siya ang in charge. But since the little one was very small pa, marami siyang mga kailangan, alam mo yun, ituro. So,
Right.
parang ako na rin ang in charge niya.
How old? The little one is Carlo or Christopher?
No, Christopher.
How old was Christopher when his mom passed away?
Oh, when his mom passed away.
Kasi ang gusto ko tanongin, has it ever, mga 4, or maybe to Carlo even, nakarinig ka ba nung salita na, nung yung mami ko nun dati, hindi naman ganyan eh, bakit ka ganyan? Lumabas ba yun sa kanila?
So, we've all watched fairy tales with the wicked stepmother, right?
Oo nga, di ba? Yes.
So, ang iniisip ko, of course, I don't want to be a wicked stepmother. So,
Sinabi pa rin sa sarili mo, ayaw mo maging wicked stepmother.
Of course. So, let's say, for example, my daughter, when she was younger, napalo ko yan. Kasi yan naman ang ginawa ng mom ko. So, napalo ko yan. And, you know, I have freedom to do whatever. Kasi anak ko yan, di ba? Actually, I had to go to Cefam to learn parenting so that I would learn how to parent my child. And then, so, by the time Christopher got to me, hindi na ako, alam ko na yung naturo sa akin about consequences. And so, very, very clear sa kanya, if you do this, this is what happens. And so, the consequence, ikaw ang pumili na magkaroon ng consequence kasi alam mo naman yan ang mangyayari. So, I think very fair naman yung ano ko sa kanila and never any spanking or anything that would make them look at me as a wicked stepmother.
Lumabas ba from them? Was there ever a time that they said, oh, why are you saying this to me? Why are you not allowing me to do this? My dad is saying yes. And yung mga ganon, yung parang, syempre minsan sa parenting, di ba? Iba yung sinasabi ng nanay, iba yung sinasabi ng tatay. Lumabas pa sa kanila yung mga words na yun.
Hindi, kasi primary nga ang ano, 'di ba? Ang biological.
Primary. So, kasi minsan 'di ba, you know how life is in the family, wala naman really straight lines, 'di ba? Sometimes unknowingly we cross the line.
I cannot recall na meron silang, in fact, I think I was the one who tried to patch things up when sila ng tatay nilang nagkakaroon ng and my husband would say, oh, that's the job of the mother. I mean, yeah, so I don't recall. Oh, I could have a bad memory. I don't know. I have
what are the joys of, you know, taking care of, you know, foster children?
Well, I myself I really love children. I actually wanted to have an orphanage or have foster children. And
So
so
that works for you.
to only have to go through labor pains and sleepless night once and have 3 children is perfect. To be proud of 2 more children, to share in, you know, their accomplishments and the joys of having children, 2 more without having to go through the pain of labor.
How do they introduce you to their friends? How? Like, this is my...
When we were not yet married, when we were talking, we decided we didn't want to replace the biological mom. So I said, do you think, I don't mind if they call me tita, so that they will always, know who their mom is. Diba? And so we decided that, sige, ano na lang, tita na lang, wag na nilang palitan pagdating yung marriage. So until now, they call us tita and tito. It's only my daughter who recently switched to papa for Charlie.
Okay, another story yan.
Another story, yeah.
Okay, so, pero pag naman, this is Tita Peggy, my stepmother, ano?
I guess so, yeah. I guess so, kasi it's tita di ba?
All right, so Peggy, final message to our viewers out there who were, thinking of remarrying again, being a stepmom. Ano ang message mo for them who would, in this situation at parang hindi alam ang gagawin?
Well, for me, when you decide to remarry, it really must be a serious decision that you make God a part of. Because if He is the one who plans it, He will provide the grace. And for me as a mom or a stepmom, what's important is that you love your children unconditionally. Ke biological or, stepchildren. Me, I hardly ever use the term stepsons. I always call them my sons. I actually forget na they're not my sons. We've been married for
biologically.
Yeah.
You actually forget. How beautiful to hear that.
Well, forget to say stepsons, di ba? We've been a family for 19 years. When we got married, it wasn't just Charlie and I that got married. It was the start of a family, diba? It was really a blended family. I guess when some people remarry, kung masyado nang matatanda and the children are off, they really don't get to blend. But for us, because maliit pa naman, talagang nasa gitna si Elise nung dalawa. And they would walk. Carlo, Elise, Christopher, nakaganyan sila when they were, para silang magkakapatid talaga.
It could very well be siblings.
Yes, exactly. And actually yung anak ko, hindi ko naman kamukha. Minsan nga, mas kamukha niya yung kapatid.
Minsan ba kamukha ni Charlie? Baka by osmosis.
Hindi rin
magkakasama.
Yung biological father niya.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Peggy. I wish you all the best that life can bring. May God bless you and your family always. And thank you. Thank you, my dear viewers, for watching this episode. I would like to invite you to please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and Facebook page. We value your comments. So please, feel free to write down your comments and suggestions in the box provided below. So wherever God leads you, He will give you the grace to live that life. We look to Saint Joseph, who took care of the child Jesus, of the child given to him by God. Saint Joseph, watchful defender of Christ, pray for us. This is Rita David, reminding you today, haba-habaan ko ang pasensya sapagkat ang buhay parang life.